Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 2, and this is going to be my review for Episode 2 for this season, otherwise entitled The Ties That Bind. But of course, spoiler alert, if you've not watched the episode, go away, because there's a good amount of stuff to talk about, a couple of reveals, some big reveals, especially towards the end, so yeah, go away if you've not watched it. But if you have watched the episode, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts and just overall opinions of this episode, and also some predictions and theories going forward based off the end of this episode specifically, and maybe who else could be involved, because my brain is thinking. But yeah, let me know all that in the comment section down below. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you enjoyed this episode, want to drop a like on the video to show your support and likeness of the episode. Enjoyment levels of the episode, that's the best way to put it. The last episode was, of course, episode 1, the season 2 premiere, and we really dealt with the fallout of Natalie arriving to Earth Prime at the end of season 1 on both the Lois side as well as the Natalie sides. We also have like Jordan's powers developing more, just like a quick instance of that, and also sort of continues in this episode for a bit. But the main thing is that like Clark's having these head pains and visions that continue on to this episode, and will continue, I'd assume, for at least one more episode based off what we learn in this episode about them and what and who or yeah, they're connected to in general. And we did get to meet Lieutenant Mitch Anderson, who's like the new head of the DoD, who is all about America and makes his own Superman of America pretty much from the government school of powered kids, which once again continues into this episode. But right at the end, we have this being, or this big hand fist thing, break through through the mines, and they're the thing that's causing these earthquakes or tremors that were happening in Smallville. And we do learn that this is actually Doomsday. Yeah, they're doing Doomsday. But this episode as a whole, I had like my opinion on the premiere where I said like it was like really just dealing with the fallout, with like other little seeds being planted for this season. And some might not have enjoyed that. I enjoyed it just because you want to deal with that fallout from the end of last season. But this episode went bang, 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 bang in regards to pushing the story forward for at least the first half of this season. And that's probably the only thing I can say as something I didn't really enjoy in this episode, was just that there was a lot of storylines. However, it's like a nitpick because it's the beginning of a season. Like usually in those first like 2 to 4 episodes, you get a lot of that. So it's a nitpick. If I'm really gonna, it's just me nitpicking to say something negative for the sake of it, because I think this episode did a lot in regards to pushing the stories forward and not sort of dwelling on stuff. I think there was a progression in pretty much every element of this episode. But in regards to the episode, let's jump into the specific breakdown of it, if you want to call it. So the opening scene is this first morning meal with the Kents and of course the Irons of Natalie and John, who of course have moved on to the farm. And it's still a bit awkward, as you'd expect, but it gets a bit more awkward when Clark has another of these head pains and visions. And the one thing that I was sort of surprised we didn't get in this episode was just Natalie's opinion on sort of living with the doppelganger of the guy that killed her mum. I thought there might be more focus on that, but maybe that's for a few episodes down the track when maybe something else happens. I just thought we would get something like that, but I don't know, maybe Natalie just knows, because it has been 3 months as well. That's important to say. This season to just, it's just not a straight up continuation of the end of last season. It is 3 months after we had that time jump. So maybe she got used to it over that time. But I just thought maybe her like living in that situation might bring up that concern again. But, and as well as like triggered with or combined with these, head pains and visions that are triggering Clark and everything like that. So yeah, I was sort of surprised they didn't focus in on that, but at the same time, maybe that 3-month gap has sort of just given her some ease to it. But Clark does go on to reveal to Lois what he is actually seeing, with all these rocks crumbling, people screaming now, and Lois just chucks in that maybe it's a vision of Krypton when it was being destroyed, and it's affecting the people impacted by the Eradicator, because of course those were all consciousnesses carried from Krypton, which would not only include Clark, because he was impacted by it last season, but also Jordan as well. Now, speaking of Lois, there is drama at the Smallville Gazette with some of Lois's past being questioned, which could in turn, affect the legitimacy of the Gazette and its future in general, which of course Lois invested quite a lot of money into it. And I actually never thought about that aspect of Lois being involved here. Is just all of her baggage. Like, I think when she's attached to like something big like the Daily Planet, there's like a lot of protection and stuff going around that. But something small like this, it's a very vulnerable target due to that. And whether she was like 100% legitimate or not, all of her past could be twisted and turned into stories in order to impact the Gazette and just Lois's reputation as a whole, because she wouldn't have this big corporation or big name around to protect her. So I actually never thought about that aspect. So I'm actually surprised that they're going down this route, but surprised in a good way. Now, of course, last season, the Daily Planet was bought out by Morgan Edge, and Superman goes to visit Morgan Edge, or Tal-Rho, in his snowy prison in his own, like, Hannibal Lecter type cell. Like, that was the first thing I thought when I saw the cell. I was like, God, it's like Hannibal Lecter, because he lived in, like, stayed in, like, this, like, sort of a pretty luxurious area for someone who tried to do what he tried to do last season. With Superman actually questioning if there could be any like after effects of the eradication process, with Morgan saying that he was only experiencing his own visions from his own past, no one else's. And you gotta remember, he had like all those different consciousnesses in his head. And though Morgan does offer a potential solution via taking Morgan to his fortress, Superman denies. Despite Morgan not having powers anymore, at least we're led to believe he doesn't have powers due to the events of last season. But, you know, Superman might think that offer over again. Now, of course, last episode, we saw Natalie's first day at, like, the Metropolis High School. But this episode, she has her first day at the Smallville High School, and she connects with Sarah pretty much straight away, which, of course, becomes an issue for Jordan, just because, you know, Sarah had, like, he had, like, all of Sarah's attention pretty much, but now there's another foot in that camp, if you want to call it. But really, Natalie is what Jordan was last season. You know, the new kid who doesn't feel like they belong in this town, or in Natalie's case, this Earth. But Natalie has this connection with Sarah straight away, but also she has to stay aware of what she says, not to give away anything about her. Like she mentions, I think it was like the bunker, which Sarah gets very curious about. So got to be careful with what you say there. Like all of a sudden you'll say, oh, evil Superman. It's like, wait, hold on, what? What evil Superman? But through their conversation, it confirms that Sarah is keeping a secret, which we do find out right towards the end of the episode. Which I think is a secret that wasn't really a secret, because a lot of people just thought that was going to be the case, but we'll talk about it later. Now, Kyle and Lana are continuing their hard work campaigning for Daniel Hart, only for Daniel Hart to go, you know what, I'm just going to pull out of the race, which of course is a shock for Lana, especially just due to the time and effort I guess she put into all of this. And Lana's just like desperate to find another candidate to go against the existing mayor, because we know what he was doing last season. He's a bit of an ass, isn't he? But every possible candidate just doesn't work, whether it's the fact that they're moving from Smallville or they just wouldn't have the support from others in Smallville. It's just a bit of a headache. But speaking of headaches, we have Superman versing Philip Karnofsky, who is otherwise known as Barrage in the comics, and he is at this like airport hangar, and he is being powered by what looks to be like breathing in like either a dust solution or just ground up kryptonite, which gives him all these powers and becomes a definite force against Superman. But Superman has another vision during this and is almost beaten up pretty badly by Philip Karnofsky before the Superman of the DOD save him, which includes Tag Harris. And that's it. We just get one little quick scene with Tag Harris. And we were wondering whether he was going to be there because it's the same school that he went to. So that confirms that he's a part of it. Now, of course, this whole issue that's going on with Superman is a call for concern for Lieutenant Mitch Anderson, just due to what he is trying to do. Though really, at the same time, it does give him some leverage and backing for what he is trying to do at the same time, which really makes this whole situation a bit of a win-win for Lieutenant Mitch Anderson. But let's see how that goes going forward. Now, due to all these head pains and visions, Superman actually gives in, and with the help of Jordan, who just needs to take his mind off things going on at school, take Morgan to his fortress, where Morgan doesn't present his father, Zeta Rho, like last season, but Kal-El and Tal-Rho's mother, Lara. And you know, and though you would think it would be a more, you know, emotional reunion with Kal-El and Jordan, it's actually with Tal-Rho for a bit, due to like Lara's disgust with what he did last season, and that caught me a bit off guard. But at the same time, we actually do have John Henry and Lois focusing in on the tremors that have been going on in the mines. But while doing this, Kal-El is being assessed by Lara, and he has another head pain and vision, which coincides with more tremors at the mines. But at this point, Morgan breaks out of the cuffs. There's so much going on at this point in the episode. Morgan breaks out of his cuffs. Naughty little liar he is. Now, obviously, I don't know if being in the fortress sort of like powered him again, like, or like accelerated the power. I don't know if they actually explained that. If they did, let me know, because I might have just had a bit of a lapse in concentration. But yeah, he had a plan the entire time. But we do actually get a Jordan versus Morgan fight for a bit. And I thought Jordan had the upper hand. I was like, oh, yeah. Well, you see, he actually did. He sort of like got him first. But then Morgan gets more control and is on actually the brink of killing Jordan. I was like, oh my God. But he is sort of talked down by Lara to an extent. But Morgan is actually able to be stopped before doing what he needs to do. But Lara then tells Superman that she knows what is going on with him. Now, it's not revealed at this point. We don't actually get to see Lara specifically telling Superman, but we do find out later on. But I am interested to see just Jordan's progression, and I do wonder whether the end of this episode, the end of this episode sort of leads into that, because Jordan only went here because of what was going on at school, and I wonder if what happens at the end of this episode sort of speeds up that process with him working more with Clark or his dad. But yeah, I guess that's a wait and find out for future episodes. But of course, while all that is going on in the fortress, all that crazy stuff, a group of miners are still in the mines while all these tremors are going on around them, when all of a sudden they feel something, else is in their presence, and it's causing quite a noise when all of a sudden they are taken out by a big figure with these, I think it was like 4 glowing lights, 2 on each hand, and then like 1 around like the waist or something like that. And that, of course, is Doomsday. Doomsday is here, and Doomsday has started killing. They do let off an explosion, which I do wonder if that actually kills Doomsday or not. I can't remember if they like that you can hear him again, but like I wonder if that explosion maybe kills him and then reanimates him, and now he's even stronger because of the process of what Doomsday is. What kills him actually makes him stronger when he comes back alive. But yeah, I think we're meant to get a full reveal of him next episode. This one was like a silhouetted with the glowing lights. You can see how big he is. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what he might look like at the end of next episode, or whatever point of the episode it is next week. But speaking of setting up some stuff for future episodes, Chrissy reveals to Lois that the drama from earlier has started to spread out even more, and that her close source is redacting their story and saying, oh no, we're lying. And we learn this close source is actually her sister, Lucy Lane, who was swept up in the cult at the center of that story in question. And that, of course, explains how Lucy will fold into this season. Now, we know that we're getting a very different Lucy Lane than what was on Supergirl in season 1. Just the this whole story thing, I think, sets it up before we even meet her, that we know she's going to be different. But it'll be interesting to see how that storyline folds out. Now, quickly, of course, we're talking about how Lana was struggling with the finding of potential candidates to run against the current mayor. But Kyle, with the backing of others in the town, suggests Lana as a candidate for mayor, though Lana was already in that same thinking pretty much. Now, I was sort of wondering in episode 1 what was the significance of this Daniel Hart character and where it would go. But obviously, it's all about Lana going forward and running for mayor. I wonder if she'll win. I don't know. You'd think she would, but you never know at the same time. Maybe it's a bit of a sad story for Lana. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But Sarah finally reveals this secret that she's been keeping and why she's been so awkward around Jordan and everything. And that is that she actually kissed someone else while she was at camp, which is what a lot of people thought was going to be the case. It's actually, she had, was in another relationship while at camp because she was gone the entire summer. But it was actually with another girl named Audrey. Now, this is, of course, not sitting well with Jordan. I don't think it's the fact that it was another girl, just the fact that Sarah says, oh, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Then Jordan goes, well, why'd you do it then? If it didn't matter. If it didn't mean anything, why'd you do it? So this is what I was saying, where how, Jordan went away with his dad because of what was going on at school and all the awkwardness. So maybe this might push Jordan more into that as well and want to develop his powers even more. So yeah, maybe this is a good thing for Jordan in regards to his road to developing his powers more. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But finally, right at the end of the episode, Clark actually reveals to John Henry and Lois what his mother told him about what was going on with him, and that his visions are being caused by another being, with John then going on to connect the tremors in the mines to his visions. But this is when we actually see the Amatec lady that we met earlier in the episode at the mines call someone with glee, with a very happy mood, about the emergence of this being, and that it's even more powerful than they thought. Which has me concerned that they're excited for Doomsday coming out. But also, who is she calling? Is it Lieutenant Mitch Anderson? I know in the comics Amatec is sort of connected with the military, but I don't know. Surely it can't be Lieutenant Mitch Anderson that's happy about this. I don't think it would, at least. So who else is it? I'm curious. I wonder if it's the fact that she doesn't say a name like "Thank you, Mr. Blank" or something like that. It's a bit of a secret. I wonder who it could be. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough, but my curiosity is quite piqued. But yeah, this episode, as I said, the only real thing I can nitpick is that there's just a lot of stuff going on, so you're really cutting between storylines constantly. But I think they did a good job of keeping the middle portion of this episode really focused in just like one or two stories, and it was really the beginning and the end, which have a lot of the other stuff going on to set up for future episodes, whether it's next episode or a few episodes down the track. So that's probably the only nitpick. I enjoyed where they progressed everything and have really nothing negative to say. Maybe I'm missing something, but I'm excited to see what happens next episode, because apparently we're meant to be getting that full reveal of Doomsday, and I can't wait to see what he looks, as well as we'll see what he looks like, as well as what he does, because surely if you do the first proper reveal of him, he's going to do something quite interesting and maybe something quite Doomsday-ish. So let's see what happens. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it, show support. Let me know in the comments section down below, and let me know your just various opinions and all that. Always curious to read them. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.